This video contains copyrighted material used under the fair use provisions of U.S. Copyright Law, Title 17 U.S. Code Section 107. It is intended for educational, commentary, and research purposes. All rights belong to their respective owners. No copyright infringement is intended.
Do 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 do. We're on camera. We're live. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Welcome to this lovely Wednesday afternoon / evening, wherever you're coming from. Could be morning, could be evening, could be tomorrow, could be yesterday. We never know. So anyway, welcome to the show. I am Akashi Chris.
And I am Sati or Dr. Marley Doolittle, whatever you prefer.
Or sister, which has sometimes that is what I call her. So I am so happy to be here today because even though this is kind of it's a sad topic, it is such an interesting subject. So, and it seems to all kind of be connected. So it is going to be really interesting when we get into this. So, Georgie! Curious George is back. He's back. I'm so glad you're back, buddy. Mwah. So he wasn't feeling too good, and then he had problems with his computer, but now he's back, and we are just happy to see him. So welcome. So out of everything that, oh my God, it's Richard. Look, it's Richard.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
Richard. Hello, Richard. And then earlier we had Ruthie. Hello, Ruthie. And I lost the history, but there was a couple of other people. So they'll come back whenever they're ready. So I'm so happy. I remember the day that, okay, this is so funny. I've been obsessed with this book forever. And this one right here, the other day she comes up and she's like, oh my God, I'm reading this awesome book. It's like the best thing ever. And I'm like, really? What is it? And she's like, chaos. I'm like, seriously, bro, Brett, whatever, sister. I'm like, seriously. I'm like, I've been talking about this book forever because I always call it part of my trifecta. It's chaos, wormwood, and octopus murders, and I'm going to get you hooked on those as well.
Oh,
but you found this one by yourself. I'm so excited.
Well, no, I found this one through Candace Owens and Ian Carroll, the podcasters, because they bring them up on their shows, and it's like, I need to have this book. And I literally have 10 pages left to go. It's only taken me 1 week. I
can't believe you got through it that quickly. My ADD head.
It's so hard. Great. It's so hard to get down, put down. And the thing is that's so crazy is not often does a book capture me completely. And this book, knowing the history and doing kind of extensive research in the past about this whole thing and with Helter Skelter and all of that, it's like when this came up, I thought I need to have the book. And I've literally, it's the last thing I think about before I close my eyes, before I sleep. And it's the first thing that comes to my mind when I wake up in the morning thinking, I need to get into the next chapter.
There's an obsession. There's an obsession.
Yes.
Ruthie's back. And Ruthie. She actually came to us from Calling All Beings clan over there.
Oh,
the Calling All Beings crew. Hopefully DJ will come later. So I'm so happy you're here, Ruthie. So, and anybody that in the chat, let me know as you're coming in if you've read this book. And if you haven't, if you've heard of this book, because I would really like to know as we're going through this, what people, I want this to be interactive. We want to go back and forth. We want to go back and forth with chat. So it's a fascinating book. So if you have read it, please let me know. If you haven't, let me know if you've heard of it. So
if you haven't read it, by the time we're finished, you're going to want to get the book and read it. like honestly, because it is, well, it's a national bestseller for a reason.
Yes, and if you follow special programs and all that kind of stuff, which I know the people in the UFO space we always do, this definitely fits in because you start to see it be like this big puzzle, right? Where these programs they pop up in all these stories, and it's important to understand the history, So Richard said. Let me see. I can't find my mouse. My mouse.
He says,
Richard said he's heard of it, but not read it.
Okay. Well, the thing is, Richard, you might actually know some of the areas that are listed in the book because Richard was born in Southern California.
Oh, really?
So he might know some of the places and the people. Well, I think a lot of people will know some of the people for sure.
And we're going to try to kind of catch everybody up. We have some slides, just the pictures to kind of talk about this. So, Ruthie, I read audiobooks, over 120 books a year. My goodness, girl.
Good for you.
Girl.
Holy.
Ruthie's on fire.
She is on fire.
She's going to add it to the list. You need to. It is so good. You're going to love it. Let's see. And Curious George is very impressed, Ruthie, at the amount of books that you read. And I know, yes, Curious. Have you read this, Curious? Georgie. And then Richard, my mother worked in March Field. There we go.
Yep.
March Field. There
exactly.
You go. So, okay. So to get us started this evening, and nope, George says he has not read it. So before we get started, please share the show. This is a multi-stream. It's happening on Mindfork and on Cosmic Carousel. So please share the show. I'm going to put in some banners before we get started. Subscribe to Cosmic Carousel. And also, so go Cosmic Carousel 8977. Make sure you subscribe to her channel. Along with, we have the Calling All Beings clan that will be popping up. So Calling All Beings, please subscribe to that lovely channel. So let's get started. Shall we, dear?
Oh, yes.
Shall we get started?
Let's do it.
To get us in the mood.
Let's do it.
To get us in the mood for...
I'm way too happy and excited.
I'm so happy.
Cindy!
Cindy Lou!
Hi,
she is back from Spain. Oh. Cindy has been partying. She was out like for a month, over a month. Wow. I can't remember, Cindy. Let me know. And let me know if you read the book, Cindy. Cindy, we love Cindy. Okay, so let's get us started, shall we? Because one of the things that, and why am I going to run something about Rosemary's Baby? Because this all ties together. It all ties together. And to understand, to kind of set the stage. Oh my God, hold on. Here's update from Cindy. Boop, 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 boop. Cindy says 30 days in Barcelona. Nice. Do you come back with the? Do you do the lisp now? Barcelona. Because in Barcelona, they speak like this. Barcelona. Cindy. Okay, then she went to Amsterdam. That just kind of messed it up, girl. I don't have an accent for Amsterdam. I don't have one.
She's going next year.
Wait, next year? I'm like, it went to Amsterdam. I'm like, what the hell? I my ADD brain, you're going April 2027. Damn, man.
That's awesome. So you can get your accent down by then, Chris. You can get your accent down.
I will have an accent for Amsterdam. My Puerto Rican mouth might not be able to, but I'm going to try my best. So, okay, so let's get us going. Hold on, let's see. Ruthie, Ira 11. Yes, the book, Rosemary's Baby. Ira, I think it's Ira, right? Ira 11. So we're going to talk about that in just a second because his book pops up in this video that I'm about to show. So, okay, so let's get it started. Before I do that, let's show the murder board, shall we?
Yes.
One of the things that we have here is a murder board for this evening. So kind of looking at Chaos's, this is Chaos's version. There's one for Helter Skelter as well. And we'll talk about the differences between the two. One thing that's important is that we're trying to be very mindful to Tom O'Neill, the author of Chaos. So we're going to be careful, like not to give away too much, because ideally you want to experience this yourself. I want you guys to read the book. The documentary is bad compared to the book. It's like it does not do it justice. So don't think that is a substitute. So Cindy, one European country a year till I cannot travel anymore. Nice, man. I am so proud of you. She was like eating like fancy dinners. I was jelly. I was a little jelly. So, and then Ruthie, did you read? Okay, so you read Rosemary's Baby. So very cool. So, and we're all saying hello. So let's get started. Shall we play our little video?
Let's do it.
Okay, so here is something to kind of get us in the mood for the topic of this evening, taking us back to the 60s. So as I play this, please let me know, get ready for letting me know that sound is okay or not. It's important that we get your feedback. So let me know if something's all whack. I'll stop the video. Otherwise, enjoy.
Before Chaos. Before Manson. Before Hollywood realized the monsters weren't always on screen, there was Rosemary's Baby. The movie so mysterious, so unsettling, and so truly terrifying, it felt less like fiction and more like a warning. But behind the camera, the story grew even darker. Here are 10 super weird facts about Rosemary's Baby. Number 10. The apartment building was real. The Bramford, Rosemary's creepy apartment building, was filmed using the exterior of the Dakota in New York City. In the movie, it looks elegant and expensive, but that's what makes it unsettling. The evil isn't hiding in a haunted mansion. It's living behind polished doors. And if the Dakota sounds familiar, yes, the Dakota was also the unfortunate place where we lost John Lennon. Number 9. The inside of the Bramford was inspired by a real building covered in dragons. The movie used the Dakota for Bramford's exterior, but Ira Levin's original Bramford was modeled after Alwyn Court, a real Manhattan apartment building known for its dark, ornate design and dragon-like details. Before anything bad happens, the place already feels cursed, which adds to the magic of the horror of Rosemary's Baby. Number 8. Mia Farrow really ate raw liver. In one of the film's most uncomfortable scenes, Rosemary craves raw meat during her pregnancy, and Mia Farrow reportedly really ate raw liver. No fake prop, no movie trick, just raw liver, which adds to the scene's feel being so much more disturbing. Number 7. The traffic scene was also real. There's a scene where Rosemary walks into New York traffic while panicked and desperate. According to production stories, it was filmed in real traffic. Roman Polanski reportedly operated the handheld camera himself. The fear in that moment feels real because the danger kind of was. Number 6. Frank Sinatra served Mia divorce papers on set. While filming Rosemary's Baby, Mia Farrow's marriage to Frank Sinatra was falling apart. Sinatra reportedly wanted her to quit the movie. She refused because she was in almost every scene. Then his lawyer reportedly came to the set and served her divorce papers. So while Farrow was playing a woman being emotionally destroyed, her real life was collapsing also. Number 5. The baby was almost shown. At the end of the movie, we never fully see Rosemary's Baby, and that's what makes it terrifying. Producer William Castle reportedly wanted to show more, but Polanski refused. He knew the audience's imagination would create something so much worse than any prop ever could. Number 4. The producer's strange hallucinations. After the film's release, producer William Castle became seriously ill with kidney stones. According to Hollywood legend, while hospitalized and delirious, he hallucinated scenes from the movie. He reportedly cried out,
"Rosemary, for God's sakes, drop the knife!"
That became one of the strangest stories tied to the movie's so-called curse. Number 3, the mysterious death of Christoph Komeda. The haunting lullaby that you're listening to now in Rosemary's Baby was written by Christoph Komeda. Not long after the movie, he suffered a severe head injury after playful roughhousing with his friend and Polish writer Marek Lasko. He went into a coma and died in 1969. His death became another eerie event people connected to the legend around the film. His friend was too heartbroken and died of an overdose 2 months later.
What?
Number 2, the scariest part is how normal everything feels. The evil in Rosemary's Baby doesn't look evil. It looks like neighbors, doctors, a husband, a nice apartment building. People smile, act concerned, and slowly take control of Rosemary's life. That's what makes the movie so terrifying. The horror is polite. It brings you dessert. And by the time Rosemary realizes something is wrong, everyone around her already knows the plan. Number 1, the Manson murders. The darkest connection came after the movie was finished. Roman Polanski's wife, Sharon Tate, was pregnant when she was murdered by members of the Manson family in August of 1969. Because Rosemary's Baby was about pregnancy, cults, paranoia, and evil hiding in plain sight, people began connecting the tragedy to the film's themes. The horror of the tragedy on Cielo Drive and the La Bianca murders were a rough awakening to an endless summer of love.
Nobody's telling you to have an abortion. Just go to see another doctor, that's all.
So, ain't that crazy, right? What did you guys think out in chat? Poor Sharon Tate. I know.
This is nuts with, okay, so Frank Sinatra is also part of the story, right? Mm-hmm. So we have Frank Sinatra appearing in Rosemary's Baby to serve Mia Farrow divorce papers. And yes, you are right, Ruthie. I think it was that said about Mia never had, Lulabelle. She did not ever have any luck with her choice of men. This poor woman has just been put through the ringer. The other thing that's interesting is the producer, the hallucinations, the kidney stones, the hallucinations, all of this in the same time period as what we're going to discuss with what went on in the Chaos book. And then the head injury to the guy and then the death in 69. Oh my gosh, like all of this.
It was very close to the movie after it. I know people say, "Oh, curse, a coincidence," right? It's like there's no such thing as a lot of little things that tie together in this particular case. So I am just, we'll see. We'll talk about it as we go through. But you know, from a Rosemary, I mean, so much happened. Christoph Komeda. by the way, in the video, if you listen, I tried to include as many of the songs in the soundtrack, and they're all done by Christoph. And so that was his friend. So they got drunk at a party, and he pushed him, and he fell off a cliff and hit his head. And that's all that happened. The guy, he was drunk, and they were all drinking, and he pushed him, and he felt so guilty that he wound up overdosing. So, and then died like a couple months later. It's
because he felt so, like he was struggling so much with the fact that the guy died, his friend.
He didn't have any, his friend didn't really have any success, and he really struggled, but he cared about this guy, so hold on. So he, was this during Satanic Panic? What's Satanic Panic?
I'm not sure what that is, but we need to know what that is.
Yeah,
Ruthie,
we need to know.
That?
Educate us, Ruthie.
Please.
Educate us, Ruthie.
Especially right now for me, because I am so like in this book right now.
I know.
Right now I want to know what everything to do with it is. You know what I mean? So I could see me doing a big whiteboard now and putting all the pieces, because I literally, and I told you earlier, I've used 3 markers that have gone dry, making notes and putting stuff in here. And I even have a paper when I first started reading the book, and I started writing all this stuff down, because things were coming to me like, what if this is connected to this? What if this is like connected to this? So yes, you start
to put stuff together. It's just like this board right here, looking at all the different players and what was going on at the time. And we'll cover that, as much as we can without giving things away. But we are here to review this book, and just to kind of, obviously from a review perspective, we're big fans, so that's not a shocker. So it's really more, kind of educating people on what this is. How is chaos different from Helter Skelter, and how that was presented. And I think we're in an age where we question everything.
And if we're not doing that, we should be doing that. So
we should be doing that.
Every single human being should be questioning the narrative to almost everything. Honestly.
Oh, here we go. We're getting info. The Satanic Panic was a widespread moral panic originating in the late 70s, 80s that involved the substantiated mass allegations of satanic ritual abuse, child sacrifice, and occult conspiracies. That's interesting, because then we see them happening now, right?
But it also, I believe that what you're talking about here, Ruthie, is tied into this, because the murders happened in 69, but there were things going on with Manson back like to 58 and then 63. Now some things have come up, and they found some things. But now what you're saying here, Ruthie, is all the things that are now coming out into the open, and we're waiting for releases for different things that have been classified and locked in basements, collecting a great deal of dust for people not to see it. But now the beautiful thing is so many people have awakened to the real stuff as opposed to the illusion, and they're digging in more because they're realizing with their real eyes, realize with real eyes, we're all doing that now. And we need to be doing that now and putting this massive puzzle together, because I believe personally, in my opinion, everything is interconnected. Back from the JFK assassination and all the way through everything we're going to talk about here and what Ruthie just brought up there. I feel so deeply that all of it is interconnected.
Sure is. So we kind of get I grow in. Oops. I grow in. I'm not following. But she retracted it. Never mind. Never mind. So, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up so we can start conversation about the
Sure.
book because it's important that we pivot to the actual subject of tonight's session. So, chaos versus helter skelter. So let's talk about that a little bit, right? So we got two stories. So the base of this book is a challenge to the story that was done by Vincent Bugliosi. And he was a prosecutor, and so helter skelter basically says the prosecution narrative, the motive. Manson orders killings to spark a race war. Helter skelter. And the connection to the Beatles too, which kill two birds with one stone, right? You got your anti-war people, and your hippies, and then you got you had the Beatles. Beatles was evil at the time. People like, oh no, the kids should not be listening to the Beatles because who knows what can happen. Yeah. Anyway, so meaning bloody messages are ideological theater. Structure a clear chain, prophecy, command, and murder. So, I mean, it's a very clean story when it's presented this way. The case becomes a morality tale about the counterculture. And during the time, and we'll talk about the programs that were going on, like, Operation Chaos, MK Ultra, COINTELPRO. So we're going to be talking about those. But then there's Chaos's version. So this is Tom O'Neill. I love Tom O'Neill. He's on X, and he's active. So look him up because he does like book signings and stuff. I've been trying to catch him. I wish he went to Dallas one time. I wish I would have caught him, but I didn't catch him on time. What's Georgie saying? Yes, I heard that. I remember now. It was regarding the backlash to D&D. Ooh, Dungeons and Dragons. There we go. And somehow got considered satanic. Again, things they don't want you to play with. Things they don't want you to, they don't want you to, don't look away. Stay right here. Stay in your lane. Don't look away. You're looking away. Don't look away. Just look forward. So here's Ruthie. I grew up in the conspiracy of it all. I was a young child hearing my stepdad telling us about all this, including aliens, Bigfoot. Exact. I was born in 89. Oh, you're a baby. The stepdad was a hippie and anti-government. But you understand because you were around your parents. So yeah, cool.
I love that. Thank you, Ruthie, for sharing that. Because my dad actually, I was born in the 60s, in 67.
I forgot to tell you.
And I was the weird kid too. I wasn't Puerto Rican, Canadian. However, my father told me when I was 3 years old that there were going to be things that I was going to see and experience, Ruthie, like ghosts and spirits and UFOs and ETs. And he told me not to be afraid of this. And so I never was. And my experiences have just been incredible my entire life, like 59 years of experiences. And I'm so grateful to my dad for saying that to me, because then I just didn't have any fear of any of it when it was happening. So thank you for sharing that, Ruthie.
And yes, she is a fellow Boricua.
Weirdo. Love it.
Puerto Riqueñas. Okay, so on the chaos side of the house, what does chaos say the motive is? The race war theory may be incomplete or courtroom shaped. So we're going to talk about a lot of holes. Staging may also hide other motives: drugs, revenge, panic, cover up. The official record has gaps, contradictions, and oddly useful simplifications. We're going to see that because there was a particular murder that wasn't considered, and it's just crazy the amount of things that were skipped in some of this. And then the effect, the murders become less solved story, more contested archive. And again, we're in an age that we're finding out all kinds of things. that we've been lied, to. So, and the church committee in 1975 exposed a lot of the stuff that they were doing at the time. The programs existed, and I actually have a video clip of that I'll play a little bit later from the church committee talking about COINTELPRO. Anyway, so that kind of sets the stage, right? So we're going to talk about chaos versus, and really more about focusing on chaos versus helter skelter. But let's talk a little bit about Bugliosi. So Vincent, and please, I'm going to present this. Do you want to cover Bugliosi?
Oh no, go ahead, present it, and I will just add it. I have a lot of things I think about Vincent Bugliosi, let me tell you.
I'm sure you do. So Vincent Bugliosi, the prosecutor, suggests Helter Skelter gave. O'Neill is suggesting Helter Skelter gave Bugliosi one simple, dramatic motive a jury could easily follow. Think about this. It's like this, they did it on their own. They're savages. And now the Summer of Love had this black cloud called Manson. How convenient, right? A group that was seen as not following, and it gets a lot deeper than that as we go through the book, but the theory tied together Tate, LaBianca, Hinman, and multiple family murders into one courtroom story. Clean narrative straightened the prosecution and helped secure convictions in a chaotic case. By centering Helter Skelter, other possible motives, drugs, copycat staging. He's basically just throwing it all out there and just saying these people are just evil. Let's put them away because they do drugs. They're scary. They do drugs and they're doing this all on their own. Nobody's behind this except for the family. So what are your thoughts?
Well, first, number two, the theory that was tied together. I was so grateful that Tom O'Neill doing Chaos, he actually brought a lot more of Hinman into the story, where Bugliosi did not want anything brought up in court about the Hinman case because Bugliosi said it would muddy the waters too much. And they didn't want that link for people to think possibly that the Manson family could have committed this actual murder. So that is one of the big things that was one of the first things that I noticed with Bugliosi. And I'm like, wait a minute, why is the prosecuting DA here doing this? Why is he simplifying so much? Why is he refusing to interview people that were really a big part of the case? And why is he just saying, no, I don't want to hear any of that. I don't want to know any of that. And it's not going in. I need a specific narrative for Helter Skelter. And so what Tom O'Neill did with Chaos was he went full on into research. He went through this book, Helter Skelter, this whole narrative, and he essentially, in my opinion, tore it apart. There were some things in Helter Skelter that are accurate, absolutely. But it was the narrative of it that bothers me so much because it made people have a false idea of what actually was going on. Because Bugliosi, all he was thinking is, I'm going to write a book about this, so I need it.
I was going to say, he was going to write a book. He already knew he was going to write a book.
Absolutely.
But one thing that I want to make sure that if people haven't read the book, Hinman, the Hinman murder is important. And I have an entire slide on it. And when we get to it, we'll talk about it. But the Hinman case is important because there was a case in which there was a member of the family committed this murder. And there's reports that two of the same family members that were over at Cielo Drive and at the LaBianca murders were part of that. Why exclude that? And it happened like 3 days before the murders. It's crazy. It's like, why exclude that? There's some reasons. So in our Galactic Angler. Hi, honey. So good to see you, friends. So yes, so yeah, we got Vincent Bugliosi had a book,
Mm-hmm.
and he needed to close the case. I mean, there's multiple things to think about. Whether this was a setup and he was supposed to just close the case, or whether he has to close the case because he's got a panicked LA. He has a panicked Hollywood. These
Mm-hmm.
are people that were not used to this. And all of a sudden it's like they went from one of the things, and we're not going to go too much into the murder itself because everybody's heard that story. There's no need to get gruesome or anything. But one thing about Sharon was that she was so open.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at the time they had open parties, people would go in and out. It was a hippie culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this shook their sense of security
Mm-hmm.
in their community. Hollywood's all about glamour, not about this. But again, think about Rosemary's Baby and the similarities in the stories between Rosemary's Baby and what happened here. So Satya and I are going to keep going back and forth on this because that part's fascinating.
Well, and I
Anything
just
else?
like to say that there were a number of people out of Hollywood that had something to do with this. Either something to do with the house of the Tate murders, or something to do with the music industry, or whatever that looks like. There are a lot of people that are very well known that had something to do with this. People that were seen at the house, the Tate house beforehand. Like it's all so mind-blowing when you see things that are happening and coming out in the news now, right? With different things with the trafficking and all of this stuff. It's really incredible because me personally, I'm thinking, was this the beginning of all of that, what's been coming out now? Because this, on the piece of paper, when I first started writing, I said Polanski Tate parties, because the Manson family described them as this. They said, and they kept saying it over and over and over again. And it comes up in this book, Chaos. It comes up in Helter Skelter. It comes up in the court case. What they kept saying, the family, when they live freaky, they will die freaky. Live freaky, die freaky. So this is what I wrote. Polanski Tate parties. Were they the first Diddy or Epstein? Polanski, with the stuff that he's gone through, he's not even allowed to be in this country anymore because of the allegations about the child stuff that he did. And what kind of parties were taking place at their home for the family to be saying, live freaky, die freaky. It makes me question, what kind of parties were y'all having? And they were near the Playboy Mansion, and Hugh Hefner came into this as well. And it's just like, what is happening here? And I find it interesting because during this time, Reagan was placed as governor right after the Tate murders, which I also find very interesting because there's things that come up later when he's president that happens with other things. So I just wanted to throw that out there because it's blowing my mind.
It is pretty mind-blowing that there's so many gaps in the story, the availability, and we're not saying anything bad about Sharon Tate, okay?
No.
I poor soul. I think I really I feel terrible for these people. I really don't think that these particular people were the ones that they were targeting. The people that might, if there was something bad happening, it was upstream, and it wound up there because this guy had availability to Hollywood. He had availability to, think about it. Why did they welcome him? And we'll talk about Melcher and Wilson and all that in a second. Let me see. Is that the one that's coming up?
Do you think possibly that Roman Polanski had anything to do with it? Because he was in London when these murders happened, and he was supposed to be home. Sharon Tate was going to be having her baby within 2 weeks of the murders, and he kept postponing coming home. He kept telling her, I'm going to be a little bit longer. Like, what was going on that he couldn't get home and he kept postponing it? This is what I find really interesting. And I also find it interesting that he was allowed to walk all through that property 3 days after the murders before anything was cleaned up. And he walked through with a psychic. That's in the Chaos book. Tom wrote it. And he walked through with a psychic. And I just find it really interesting. Like they dropped so much in this investigation, in that 3 days later, things were found that they said were not there initially. And then Bugliosi, when he was prosecuting the case, said, oh, yeah, that was always there. I just forgot to put it in. No.
That is hilarious that would actually happen. How do you forget? It's this is,
I know.
There was all the murders on Cielo Drive, and there was the LaBianca murders. There was a Hinman murder. I mean, these people were just, they were literally chaotic. They were tornadoes, just, like locusts, just going from one place to the other. Yet there was no consequences.
I know.
No real consequences. There was always a way out. And he knew there was a way out. Like he always knew that somebody would bail him out. How did he know? So here's the slide that talks about, and the girls were all protected. Why? So we'll talk about that, because when we talk about the parole officer, this is where it's going to blow you guys' mind. Yes. Because it is crazy that would happen. So, so then you got like the whole Hollywood connection, right? So O'Neill digs into the Golden Penetrators circle, Terry Melcher, Dennis Wilson, and Greg Jacobson, to show that Manson's Hollywood ties were deeper, stranger, and more self-protectively minimized than the original story or the official story suggested. Again, this is Hollywood, right? Power.
And secrets.
And lots of secrets. What chaos had. So we got Dennis Wilson, obviously, that Beach Boys drummer. We got Terry Melcher, who's a producer. He was Candice Bergen's boyfriend, producer, just very Hollywood. And he was the one that was renting the house on Cielo Drive, right?
Yes.
He was the one that moved out. I read the book like a year ago. She read the book like a week ago. I'm like, Melcher was the one that lived there, right?
Terry Melcher and Candice Bergen lived at Cielo Drive prior to the murders. Now, Terry Melcher had dealings with Manson, because he had been seen out at the Spawn Ranch on multiple occasions, and something to do with like drugs, something to do with the girls, something to do with the whole party on the ranch. And Terry Melcher said in court, which this does not make any sense to me in any way, shape, or form. And guys, tell me what you think, because Terry Melcher says that him and Candice moved out of Cielo Drive shortly before the Tate and LaBianca murders because they were afraid of his maid, because his maid scared them. Pardon? You fire your maid. If you're not happy with your maid, you fire your maid. I don't understand. And they said that they left the house when they moved out in the middle of the night to get out of there because they didn't want to see the maid in the morning when she came back for work. That to me, like how farcical.
It doesn't really add up.
Like it's just really they're grown adults. They're grown adults. The man who owned the house on Cielo Drive lived on the property in a guest house in behind. And he apparently was listening to loud music and didn't hear anything. Yeah, okay. I mean, and he comes into it much later, in the 90s when Tom O'Neill is interviewing him. So it is really interesting to me. Terry Melcher had promised Manson, so the story goes, many stories from many of them, including the court documents, that Melcher told Charles Manson that he was going to sign him to a music contract. And that never ended up happening. So Manson, the way Bugliosi, the DA, presented the case then is that Manson sent his family to the right house, but thinking Terry Melcher was living there. And I mean, all of that gets shot down in this amazing book. It took how many years?
She really loves the book, everybody. She loves the book. Like you can't tell.
He worked on this book for how many? 20
years. 20 something years. Like, it was supposed to be like a very small little, like an article or something, and it turned into a 20-year saga. And we'll talk about, and we'll talk later about the impact that it had on Tom O'Neill. And, you know, that this was a life-changing thing for him as well.
Well, and the poor man kept getting death threats all the time, like so many of these people that put this story together for Helter Skelter. And as Tom O'Neill is saying, this isn't adding up, and they start threatening Tom O'Neill's life, right? Or threatening to sue him into oblivion. And just, oh my gosh, the stuff this poor man went through, to just, all he wanted was to get to the truth, because he, like me with Helter Skelter, it's like, this isn't adding up for me. No, my intuition is very strong. No, it's not adding up to me. So he
talks about Bugliosi gets so mad at him. Bugliosi would ream him. It must have been so scary, because supposedly he was a very threatening man. But Bugliosi would be like, how dare you? Like, you know, very much. But he kind of played with him. Like he allowed him in, but he liked to kind of beat up on him. It was very interesting. So, and here's the stuff that we have about the Hinman murder and why this was important. So you got Bobby Beausoleil, this guy right here to the right, and he was part of the family. So he, he gets accused of murder. You know, he gets, they kill this guy Hinman. But the thing is that he supposedly was there with Susan Atkins and Mary Bruner. And this happened, what day? It was like just a couple of days before the
3 days.
August.
3 days.
3 days, right?
Yes, 3 days before the Tate murders.
So think about that. 3 days before the Tate murders, they had a way to tie these people to a murder, potentially, at least investigate, at least lock them up, at least put them under something, I mean,
Bobby Beausoleil,
they could have stopped it.
He was in jail. He was locked up. And Bugliosi didn't want it tied in to the Tate and LaBianca stuff. So he was trying to keep
But why weren't the girls?
Separate. Well,
why did he keep the girls out of it? Yeah.
Bugliosi didn't want them to have anything to do with it, because there were plans for how he needed to bring the girls of the family in. And interestingly enough, Mary Brunner, one of the girls that was there for that murder, the first one, Hinman, she was pregnant. And we're going to find some really interesting thing out about this baby with the nickname Pooh Bear. Because we find out in this story that Manson's parole officer and his wife ended up fostering the baby when Mary Brunner was in jail. I'm like, what?
This is insane. The whole thing on the parole officer, and how I've never heard of a parole officer that did what him and his wife did for Manson and the family. And I don't care how charismatic Manson was. I just don't understand how that happens. But he it's interesting, isn't it?
It's really,
I'm so lost. Okay, tell me, Intergalactic, why are you lost? Tell me why you're lost. So you got here late. So
we read
this
book Chaos. and we're talking about it, and it is kind of a counter to the Helter Skelter and the whole case, the whole legal case against Charles Manson and his so-called family. That it's just really incredible. So,
I'm sorry, Intergalactic.
yeah,
I know it's hard to catch up
here.
because, it is a rabbit hole of a story.
Oh,
I mean, when you look at all the details of all these people involved, and we haven't even touched on the most important parts, the stuff with the LSD and the drug, the manipulation, drug testing on hippies, etc. So it's about to get really cray, Intergalactic. So, okay, I'm sorry. Keep going, hun. So we got, at this point, it's like we got a murder that happened. Oh, the messaging the same, political piggy. So very much a message being left, right? It's like, why put that in there? And that's the same thing you're going to do later, but they don't really tie this one with the rest. Is just.
It is crazy. It's absolutely insane the way that they did this, because it's so evident. And also what y'all also need to know is that what was happening in this hippie era, the era of love, and what they were trying to do, what the government was trying to do in California at the time with the LSD and the amphetamines and things like that. You really need to think about that. But the other thing that also was happening at the exact same time is, guess who was moving into town at the same time? The Black Panthers. Okay. And the Black Panthers are who they thought, because someone, and we'll get into that later, put into Manson's brain that there was going to be a massive race war, which was not true at all. It wasn't true, but they wanted him to tell his family to put in blood piggy or political piggy or anything like that. So all of the murders all had that, all of them, to tie it in. So the reason with Bugliosi not adding Hinman's case into this blows my mind, because everything about it was the same as the others.
Didn't they excuse it as it was different departments that were doing one case versus the other? Like some kind of weird disconnect, right? If I recall correctly. It's like, why? How did they excuse missing that? Because that's huge.
When Tom O'Neill asked Bugliosi in his interviews, Bugliosi said that for whatever the reason being, he could not have that because it would not tie everything in the way that he needed it to for the book. And so then he started lying to Tom O'Neill. And then Tom O'Neill, this is why it took so many years for him to pull this book Chaos together, because Bugliosi, who was the DA that prosecuted the case, he was lying so much, and all this stuff wasn't adding up. So Tom O'Neill had to go, God love him, had to go find all these people and try to get some answers outside of it, because this was a massive cover-up happening.
Yep. Okay. Shall we go to the next one? Here we go. Susan Atkins and Mary Bruner. So, and this is the one that kills me, because these people were actually at the murders. It's like, obviously there was a way to tie them all together. There was a way to go back and look at, there was days that they could have come back and look at Manson, look at the family. They had enough, and they did enough. There was enough records on these guys based on everything else that they did before, from the stealing of cars to just petty stuff. I mean, they had them, yet they ignored it, even when these girls were obviously tied to a murder that was caught a few days before. It's just wild.
Absolutely.
Bruner was, because let me see. Yeah, Bruner was there.
And Susan Atkins, she did say in her testimony, which they turned into a book, which is a book that I'm going to get because I want to hear it from her words. And she talks about being there and her part in it, but she seems highly twisted. She's very twisted. I'm sorry, but
All
she's
of them
just,
are.
I,
I mean,
I just, she was like the one that was so demented, in my opinion, was Susan Atkins. I think she was kind of the one when Manson wasn't around. She was kind of the one that was kind of controlling things with some.
and
That's
she
what
would get away with it, and she would be in jail, and they would get her out, and she would
all
go to
these
jail,
girls.
and they would get her out, and she would brag about the stuff in
Yep.
jail, and they would get her out.
Well,
So
all they had to
until
do
at the end they didn't. But yeah,
every time the girls got picked up on just even a simple traffic violation or something, and they'd end up in jail, and they made one phone call. And that one phone call was to Charles Manson's parole officer, Roger Smith.
Roger Smith.
And Roger Smith had them get like a get out of jail free card right away. There was just so much crazy stuff going on, and they were doing all this stuff and just getting away with it. And at the end of the book, close to the end of the book, they are showing that Tom O'Neill, some of the interviews he did in the late 90s, right, and early 2000s, they actually started digging up on Spawn Ranch, and they found bodies. So,
and are we shocked?
No, not at all, because they always said that there were more. And yet, I mean, you can't tell me that 69 comes to be, and that's just when everything started, when Manson got out of prison in, what was it 59? And then back out again in 63. And he came across all these people, and some of the DNA now is showing that some of the people he came across when he came out of prison the first time were at Spawn Ranch. Well, who gave him Spawn Ranch? This is a big question. Where did they?
And was it one of the first places where Manson was sent to?
Yeah,
was not a regular prison. I could have sworn there's a story that goes back on Manson that he was sent to some places. It's like it puts him in a place where if you have a really charismatic guy that knows how to that's sharp enough, right, that he could be targeted as this is one that we could let's play with that mind. Let's use that mind. Let's Colts are huge. Again,
because
that's
at the end of the day, we have to understand that the CIA and the FBI, but especially the CIA, they were doing all of these drug studies, and they were trying to bring LSD in to see what LSD would do when you confine these people and you keep making more and more people in a small area. What are they going to do, right? And then they brought in methamphetamines into, and they were saying when they were just on LSD, they were all love and everybody was just like wonderful. But when they brought the methamphetamines into the story, that's when the violence kicked in. And so I feel like they were kind of forced into a corner to do these things, because all of the people involved in this case that were not part of Manson and his family, like I'm talking the sheriff's office, the DA's office, the parole officer, the doctor, all these people had a part. They all had a part in what they were providing this family. And then you find out that some of these people, the doctor and some of these other people, were actually given the girls to have fun with the girls from Manson because they were being supplied all the drugs.
And every time that they got pregnant or every time that they were sick, they took care of them. They took care of the girls. Why?
Yes, they did.
This one's actually about the slide about the LA County Sheriff's Office and kind of the stuff that you already covered, which was, the things that they just missed, just completely missed on such an important case, but just completely missed. Turns the story from murder mystery into an institutional mystery. The clues were there, but the official response didn't match the danger. And it's true. it was too much. So let's just focus on this little part. And I know that they went to Spawn Ranch so many times before that
They
also.
did. Yep.
So here's an important guy in the story. So who was Reeve Whitson? So as shadowy associate of Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski, Whitson may have been near the Tate crime scene before the official police arrival. This is when we start talking about how did these people get in there? It's like there weren't, sources describe possible intelligence ties, but the record stays murky. Contacts with Bugliosi raised questions about what was known, shared. So this guy had, some link to Bugliosi, but he was there before police arrived. How does that happen?
I know.
It's like, yeah, it's right. Like these there before the police arrive. Again, things that don't seem to fit. The puzzle is not a puzzle that's put back together. So then, and we jump around because I want to make sure people read this book. It's really important that you go through everything that went, all the circumstances that came together to that day in Cielo Drive. I mean, it's just the details are maddening. So, but we do this. This is a really important point, and it's what was happening at the time, the environment. It was about neutralizing the left. It was about anybody that was against the war, the Black Panthers, you name it. All the groups, there was Asian groups, there was Black Panthers, there was the hippies,
universities,
the university. Yeah, so you name it.
Yeah, because Patty Hearst is all in this whole thing, like not this part with the Manson stuff, but all of that with Patty Hearst was happening at the same time because they were protesting on college campuses in this country, in the United States, against the war. And it just blows my mind, all of the things that happened in this era.
The crazy thing is that you look at things that happened then and you start looking at things that are happening now, and there are some parallels, and it is a little bit scary. But so and I actually have a video on COINTELPRO. Let's see, look at all the goofy university stuff we still have going on.
Yes.
Hold on. Sorry, I'm looking at the chat.
I was too.
Intergalactic. Look at all the goofy university stuff we still have goings on. Riots and bad teachers.
Yep.
There we go. So the question is there, seems really convenient, right? Even the helter skelter part, even that whole thing seems so convenient to fold in everything that they didn't want people looking at or paying attention to, anything that questioned the narrative, anything that would invite you to look at options that are not, what the government was feeding you. All of that was discouraged in any way possible, whether it's, through propaganda or, you name it. They used anything they could to, looking at the LSD experiments, it's like, what are the drugs doing? Can we use the drugs against these people? It's just maddening. So media panic.
Like they were doing a lot of trials at that time too, with the drugs, like on mice and on rats, because all of that stuff is in O'Neill's book here. The David Smith, the doctor, he talks about that. So he wrote an article, and also the parole officer Smith, and he's writing about this stuff. And they were calling him in when they needed something specific done. And we got Jolly too, that's coming up.
Jolly West. I love talking about that guy.
So they were doing things. They moved from animals, mice, rats, and an elephant, and moved it to people, obviously.
And then there's Curious George. I'm reincarnating as a rat so I can get all the good drugs. Curious George, everybody. Words by Curious George. So we're sitting here in an environment where in 1975 it comes out that it's all true, that they were doing these things, that they were using, methods that they shouldn't have. So, they're neutralizing the left. Sounds familiar. So next, hold on. I'm trying to get to my page here. Sorry. There we go. Okay. Oh, Operation Chaos. It began in 1967 after President Johnson asked the CIA to determine whether foreign powers were influencing U.S. anti-war unrest. So it's about them coming in and, influencing our students, our hippies, but it's the foreign, that's what we're worried about.
Yeah.
Its stated mission was to find foreign links to student protests, New Left, and anti-war activity, but it's expanded into domestic surveillance. And they admitted all this. They use surveillance, for anybody, not only the people that participate, anybody that supported any of these organizations that was linked to it. They could surveil them and basically control you, right?
Yes.
Tati? Okay, so
Yes.
next, the program compiled files on thousands of Americans and indexed roughly 300,000 names and organizations. I'm sure, who's in a file? I'm sure people in this chat are in some file right now. Later investigations found that the operation blurred the line between foreign intelligence and spying on U.S. citizens. This is where it gets really interesting. In Chaos, this matters because it shows the Manson era unfolding inside a larger climate of surveillance, panic, and state suspicion. So all of a sudden, it's not just what's happening. I mean, it's about what's happening in the environment around them at the time.
Absolutely.
This starts to make sense. What
Well,
do you think?
And it's interesting too, because President Johnson comes up in the book Chaos at the end to do with the Kennedy assassination and the Warren report, and all of this stuff is coming up that ties into this stuff too. So it's like, oh my gosh, what year did Marilyn Monroe die?
62? Why am I thinking 62? Because was it, what year did JFK? Was the year before him, right?
He died before him. 63.
Yes. Yeah, I think she was 62. Does anybody know? Anybody look up?
I want to look into that because there's something coming to me that this with her death has to tie into
62.
this stuff too. 62. Okay.
Yeah, Ruthie says 62.
All right. Thank you. Because
oh my God, John Stokes, hi buddy. I'm so glad you're here, my friend. Thank you for joining us. So, okay, so then Chaos, and the other one is, of course, it was MK Ultra.
Oh, yeah.
What else was happening? MK Ultra, a secret CIA research program launched in 1953. So at that point, we're just years into it. So hold on a second. We're happy you're here, my friend. Okay. Under Sidney Gottlieb. Oh my God, I forgot his nickname. He's like he had a bad nickname. This is the guy. Sidney was the one that did all the cocktails, the chemistry cocktails. Yeah. He was the chemist. Yes. So to study mind control, interrogation, and behavior modification. Experiments involved LSD, hypnosis, sensory deprivation, and other methods. I think they used like sleep deprivation. They would just make them stay up forever and then give them drugs and see what happens. It's like lab rats.
Yeah.
Yes, Ruthie, MK Ultra. Huge. It's true.
MK Ultra was seriously kicked off around this time because all of it is put in this book.
It was August 4th in 1962. Yep. That was the day that Marilyn passed.
Ruthie. Thank you, Ruthie, because that's got to become part of my research now. Because for whatever reason, someone in the peanut gallery is saying, look into Marilyn Monroe's death, and that fits when after Manson is out and all of this stuff began.
So And then they destroyed a bunch of records, remember? And there was a whole destruction of records of MK Ultra. Let's hide all that. Because again, it's like the history is it goes so deep. It's like you start uncovering one thing and you have to uncover another, and then it's too much to uncover and they just don't want to. So Senate investigations in the 1970s, and as we're talking about the Church Committee as well, exposed abuses and turned MK Ultra into a major intelligence scandal. So in Chaos, MK Ultra matters because Jolly West, Haight Ashbury, I don't know why I smile, he was horrid. Haight Ashbury and the Manson era overlap with this wider world of psychological experimentation. Haight Ashbury, is that how you say Hoyt Ashbury? I can't remember. Haight Ashbury. Okay. Important that we understand this because this is like a whole hippie area, right? This is like where the family was known to go there, and guess what? They had a free clinic, Sati.
They did.
A medical clinic where they just bring the hippies in and it's a free clinic. I'm being sarcastic because it's like a free clinic so they can bring them in and who knows what happens in there.
And after they started bringing them into the free clinic with the other Smith, which was David Smith, I believe is the doctor's name, he spent all this time with Manson and his family too. And when you think about all of the stuff that was involved, and then we find out in the book Chaos, we find out from Tom O'Neill's research that Roger Smith, the parole officer for Charles Manson, purchased a home. I'm sorry, no, not Roger Smith. Jolly West purchased a home for Manson and his family to be, where he had a mirror, right? So I guess he had a police station. I've never been arrested, so I don't know, but the glass. So it says in the book that he actually brought a toilet, like a compost toilet in there, and a fridge so that he could be there 24/7 to see what the family was doing. And then as the drugs are being administered, he's watching all the stuff that's coming from that. So that was really interesting to me because he was brutal.
I pulled this up because, we got to talk about Jolly because, and we'll talk about Roger as well. So we got to talk about Jolly. So the thing about Jolly is that he was definitely in the program from MK Ultra. He was definitely all about ways to control the mind. There was a case.
Military.
It was a case. And I don't have the headline with me, but he killed an elephant. He put enough LSD that killed an elephant here in Oklahoma. Because it was testing to see what the LSD does to an elephant, and he gave him enough LSD that it killed the animal. And that was after that, I think he went to California.
Yes.
And the government was into experiments about controlling anything, controlling pigeons, controlling cats, controlling bats, controlling anything they could to see how they could use it as a weapon. But Jolly's history is so interesting because again, he was at the clinic, and again, they don't put Jolly and Manson together in the same room, but it's like they're in the same space. Yeah. And Jolly's basically experimenting on hippies in the same place where the family is going in for medical treatments, the STDs. Oh, that's where they would treat the STDs for the girls. So, and the other thing, the mind-blowing thing to me about Jolly West is that he was the last one to talk to Jack Ruby.
I know.
Ruby killed Lee Harvey Oswald. And he was known to be the mind scrambler.
Yes.
And if you recall, I think after his visit with Ruby, he was like, Ruby's psychotic and, he's just not in his right mind. He's, Ruby's like got the thinking head, like, it's true.
Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby was terrified. He died absolutely terrified because Jolly West had him convinced that everybody was coming after all of the Jews in the United States of America and killing them. And that is what he put in Jack Ruby's head. And Jack Ruby had a mental breakdown because of it. But Jolly West had been doing this for years, wrote many papers, and threatened our amazing Tom O'Neill, the author of this book, threatened him because Tom O'Neill got very close to what was going on. But yeah, Jolly West was a very interesting character.
Let's talk about Roger Smith.
Yeah, Mr.
There's a guy.
I'm going to foster Charles Manson's child.
Why the relationship looks so strange. Roger Smith was not a typical parole officer. No. He was also a criminology researcher connected to the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic. Again, that Haight-Ashbury was the center for hippie cultures. Like they hung out there, you know. Manson met Smith for parole check-ins at the clinic, while family members also went there for treatment. So Smith was studying drugs, amphetamines, and violent behavior in the same counterculture scene he was supposed to supervise. And that is the exact same thing that Jolly was doing. You know, so despite repeated arrests, suspicious behavior, and likely parole violations, Manson's parole was not revoked. Ever. So all the crap he did, and he got busted so many times, not revoked. Yep. Isn't that interesting? So for Chaos, the big question is whether Smith was merely unusually lenient or whether Manson was being observed, indulged, or quietly protected. He wound up being the only client he had, right, Kathy?
He went from 40 people when this branched off, right? And Roger Smith went into Southern California. And when he did that, it was really interesting because he went from 40 clients being a parole officer to one. And that one client was Charles Manson. So what on earth was going on that his whole workload gets taken from him to focus on one? What is going on here, right?
And they adopted, who did they adopt? Didn't they foster the girls?
Him and his wife fostered Mary Bruner's baby. The nickname of that baby was Pooh Bear. And they fostered that child for quite some time, Roger Smith and his wife, while they were incarcerated.
Ruthie's like, wait, what? Isn't this the guy?
It says in the book she was still lactating when she was in prison. So Roger Smith and his wife, he talked to his wife and they decided, well, you know, these girls mean a lot to me. And Charles Manson means a lot to me. I'm going to foster his first child. But there's a contradiction because in Helter Skelter, they say that child was, what's his name? Beausoleil.
Bobby's.
Yes, Bobby Beausoleil and Mary Brunners. But now in Chaos, with all the information and research that Tom O'Neill did, they say no, that this was Charles Manson's first child. It was not Beausoleil's.
Okay, you sold the book here.
Right? Well, you cannot. You just can't. Look, if you don't want to read it, I will create spaces and I'll read the whole book to you guys because I'm going to read it again and again.
Oh, and she would totally do that, Ruthie. You have no idea. She would totally do that.
I've done it
before. She would read a book on his face.
I've done it before. Yeah.
Oh my God, DJ is here. Hello. Good to see you, friend. Calling all beings. Everybody go subscribe to Calling All Beings. Party people. Okay, so where are we? So Roger Smith, so much. He did so much. And let's remind people all the horrible things that these people were all doing the whole time. This man and his wife are like supporting them.
I know.
Like they were stealing, they were prostituting, they were, I mean, they went from STD to STD to STD. I mean, it was terrible. And they got busted so many times. Yeah.
Roger Smith and Dave Smith kept giving them all the medication to clear up all of the diseases. They were
Mhm.
like,
Yeah. But we still feel bad for them. So we're going to continue to do stuff. And I mean, this includes people like Susan Atkins, who we know she was not Mary Sunshine. Um, so let me see which one. Let me see the get out of jail free card. Yeah, we already covered that. COINTELPRO, that's important. That was so it's a trifecta of programs. So you had Operation Chaos, you have MK Ultra, you have COINTELPRO. It's the FBI's covert counterintelligence program launched in 1956, targeting groups the Bureau considered threats, including communists, civil rights leaders, Black liberation groups, anti-war activists, and the New Left. Same methods, just another, another program.
And same year that Manson got out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
say that again.
1956. That's the same year Manson got out of prison.
What part? Which round? Because
well,
he did so many rounds of prison, right?
Yes,
that one
obviously before the murders and stuff like that.
But he got arrested so many times. Many freaking times.
See, he was in and out of different like juvenile places because his mother abandoned him as a child. And I think that they were kind of watching him from very early on when he was in juvie, because he wasn't well spoken or well read, but he was highly intelligent, and they were paying attention to this. And I think they created Manson. That's my opinion. I believe they created him.
I think they found somebody with charisma and power and they figured out, they identified him early.
Yeah.
And that's what I think too. But again, that's just our opinion.
Yeah.
For entertainment purposes only. For entertainment purposes only. So Ruthie's dying for us to say it. Say it. She's like, remember Sam Kinison. Say it. Say he worked for the CIA. Say it.
I'm going to say it.
She'll say it.
Roger Smith worked for the CIA and something like that. Not but and.
Yep. And BJ's agreeing with us. Have a similar understanding of Manson. Yep.
Yes,
DJ. Yeah, DJ's in the house. Okay,
brother.
So we had COINTELPRO, MK Ultra. Let's see, the get out of jail free card, which was his parole officer, and then the lovely free medical clinic. There it is, where everything happened. Where you got Roger Smith, you got LSD, you got. I feel like this is SNL. Oh my God, it's like a website. I got the club. This club has everything. Oh my God. This club has free medical treatments, LSD, double mirrors, experimentation of people. It was like a lab rat. Let's just treat them like lab rats. They're not even. It's just terrible. Yes, R.I.P. Sam Kinison. I love Sam Kinison.
Me too. Yeah,
he was so good.
That's Eric.
That's Eric.
Yeah.
You're Eric.
Yeah. Hey, Eric.
Eric. Hi, Eric. I didn't know that was Eric. I keep calling him Ewok. They're like the evil Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch had its own problems. Yes. Marsha, Jan. Susan Atkins is Marsha. In this case, for Mary Bruner is Cindy Brady. I don't even want to go there. These people were horrible. Here's the thing, though. Some of these people had never committed a crime in their lives. Yet they got lured into doing the most horrid, just unthinkable, horrible things.
Some of these people that ended up here were runaways. They were young kids that Roger Smith, the parole officer of Manson, knew, and he was okay that Manson was going into Mexico, Manson was going in different places and getting underage girls, underage children. He was finding these runaways, and then the runaways would end up on his Spawn Ranch and the Height.
Hoyt Ashbury. I can never pronounce. I think it's Hoyt Ashbury.
And it's just so interesting because all of that was just brushed over too. Like, wait a sec. Why are you letting this man?
Marcel.
Hi, Marcel.
Boston Bee. Baby. Hi, Marcel and Boston Bee are in the house. Boston Bee is from the Calling All Beings clan. We're so glad you're here. And Marcel is from Mr. Hellfire clan
Hello,
over
Marcel.
there. And our friends over on X. So back to you, Sati. Sorry, I don't know why I had to get the ASMR voice. Back to you, Sati. But it is really a trip that I feel so bad because hey, there we go. Thank you. It is pronounced like hate. Thank you, DJ. Okay.
Thank you, DJ.
You should have been here earlier, so you would have corrected us earlier. So the sad part is that they go and put this free clinic. And the thing is, these people didn't know. They didn't know. They didn't know what they were signing up for. Yes, like Haight Ashbury. Now I can say it correctly, thanks to DJ at Calling All Beings, who taught me how to pronounce Haight Ashbury. I'm from Hellfire Studios, yes, but I'm here for you guys always, Marcel. You're part of the fam, my friend.
Yes, you are.
So, but I just think it's so unfair because these people really needed help at the time. They probably had all kinds of diseases and they were needing help, and they were lied to and told there was a free clinic owned by the CIA.
Yes.
Come on. It's like, you don't have a free clinic put together, funded by the CIA.
Yeah, that had a mirror in it that Jolly was sitting on the other side.
Jolly West.
Watching everything that was happening.
And then, of course, the ultimate prize is always the mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ultimate prize. If you can control the mind, you can control anything. So, and we Calling All Beings clans having fun at the chat, and I'm so glad. We're so glad you guys are here.
I'm so happy to see you guys here.
You guys need to meet Sati. We need to talk. All these stories, something doesn't add up. I know, Marcel, it does not add up. It is crazy.
Yes.
Haight Ashbury proximity, Haight Ashbury proximity, and Jack Ruby exam make his overlap with Manson world feel deeply suspicious. How does that happen? How did nobody say, okay, that makes no sense? The guy, he's a brain scrambler. He's a professional brain scrambler that worked with a chemist that knew, because Sidney Gottlieb knew how to mix the right mixes, and they did so many experiments on animals, on people, on anything they could to see how to control a group. Because again, if you weaponize people and control them, that's the ultimate, man.
Absolutely.
You can control their actions if you can control their mind.
Well, and this is what bothers me.
Yeah.
This bothers me so much about the family, because I actually question none of them were doing any of this stuff prior to the CIA interfering in their life and using them as really like a pincushion. They were just testing things. And Jolly West, when he came in and he's working with Roger Smith and he's working with David Smith, that this stuff just is madness. And it makes my heart ache, because I wonder, especially the women, right? The women of the family, they were very young girls when they started in this. They were drugged to high heaven, and they didn't know what they were doing, I don't think. For the most part, I think
Susan Atkins is a bad apple. I think there's some in there that were bad apples, but but there's some that never did anything.
Yeah, but
so out of character.
Susan Atkins was like 15 years old when she met Manson.
That's true.
So this is what it makes me think of. Like I'm like, would they have done these things if they weren't being used as an experiment to see from the government what would happen if? What happens if we give a group of people a bunch of this? And then what happens if we up that dose? And then what happens if we start messing with their brain and start putting things into their head to make them feel paranoid and make them feel like people are against them? And they have, you know, like, it's just, I have to think about it. It's horrible to me what they did to these people.
And Marcel, the family was the cult, basically. Yes. So the family provided, you have all these kids, right? They're lost. They're poor, they're homeless. They're like, you know, these girls were like prostituting themselves just to, you know, and it was a summer of love, right? It's like free love. People did this. They were hippies. Yeah. You know, that's why they were so easy to pick on, right? But the family gave them the community, right?
Well, yeah. But, you know, Marcel, what I was going to say to Marcel's comment there is that, in my opinion, me personally, in reading and being so hyper focused on this story for so many years, and then this book, Chaos, I'm just blown away, as I keep saying. But I feel the cult is Roger Smith, the parole officer is David Smith, the doctor is Jolly West, who was military and doing the MK Ultra mind control stuff and the drug stuff for so many years. And he was going to write a book, and he wrote all these papers, and then he disappeared all of the information and all of the research. And, you know, I feel the actual cult was them. It was the CIA. It was all of these people that did this stuff, that were using these people to mind control them, to MK Ultra them, to drug them and brainwash them and hypnotize them, because hypnosis was huge for Jolly West. You know, he bragged about that, about how good he was at hypnotizing people and then taking memories out of their brain that they knew.
He bragged about it. He wanted to be the perfect, like, he wanted to be the badass in mind control. He said it. It's like, and you add the drugs, and it's like another level of you know, another layer. They're madmen. They were madmen, and they were put in positions of power. Madmen in positions of power is a freaking problem. But it's just,
and
let's give them kids. Let's give them kids.
Right.
Let's give them kids to go like mess with and scramble their brains. To Ruthie's point, a few of them realized that they did wrong. I mean, supposedly this guy was so charismatic. Manson did have that thing, and that's why they pinned him down to, you know, hey, what a great tool to do this. So, but they were scrambled. That's what they do, right? They just scramble you. They literally scramble you. Go ahead.
Well, and how many young girls, teenage girls, wouldn't be smitten by a man that can introduce them to Terry Melcher and Candace Bergen and the Wilson brothers from the Beach Boys and Mama Cass Elliott from Mamas and Papas, and all these people the Manson family is meeting, and they're partying with these people. I mean,
he was going to be a rock star. Remember, he was trying to get a deal. Yes. He was trying to get a deal, and he recorded a song. It was horrible.
It was so bad.
I'm like, but these people entertained him. They allowed him in, and I'm sorry, it couldn't be just the drugs. There's no way. You can get drugs in Hollywood in so many ways. You didn't have to accept these people that, you know, that when they would walk in, this wasn't pleasant. This wasn't Sharon Tate, you know, and Hollywood level. They would come in and they were probably dirty. I mean, they were homeless. They lived in a commune.
But one part of the book, they're talking about one of them, a cop, they got in an accident with the school bus, right? And then they found all these bodies in a ditch after the wreck, but they thought that all of them were dead, but they were all just passed out, like the family, Charles Manson and all the girls. None of them had clothes on.
Yeah.
They were all just in a ditch, laying there, passed out, you know.
Now, the other thing, one thing I forgot, didn't they used to dress up like hippies? Didn't they dress down? Like all the doctors, all these guys, these guys dressed like they it's called infiltrating.
Absolutely.
You know, they had to play the part.
They did. And
You
they did it
know.
well, because Jolly West, being military, they say in Tom O'Neill's book Chaos that he always had a brush cut, right? He was always
Mhm.
dressed proper, had a brush cut all the time. And to infiltrate what he wanted to do with the Manson family, he grew his hair. He started wearing bell bottoms and the belts, and then the shirts with the big collars, and like he totally looked like a hippie. The
Mhm.
pictures of him in the book, he looked like a complete hippie. You would have never known that guy was military.
It was deception.
Exactly.
It was
Exactly.
deception. So,
Yeah. And I also ask the question of this, and this, I think the girls are looking up to him, because Charles Manson was given all these connections, and he literally showed up with him and a couple of the guys and all the girls from the family, and moved into Dennis Wilson's house from the Beach Boys. And
mhm.
they just stayed until Dennis Wilson's manager contacted Smith, the parole officer of Manson, and said, you need to get them out because we're having issues. And Dennis, he can't do any music, and we've got an
Mhm.
album we need to do. So,
It is. There's so many. At some point, it's too many coincidences.
yes,
I,
absolutely.
it's too many synchronicities. So
Yeah.
here's and again, we're trying to make sure that people go read the book, so we're not going to spoil everything in the book during this session. So do not the
Sorry.
documentary does not do it justice. Even Tom O'Neill was like so disappointed in the documentary. But I do want to talk about Tom real quick, and then I want to talk about Polanski.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Did you have something else before we go there?
No, I'm
So
good.
we wanted to talk about poor Tom. So this Tom O'Neill. So he takes on this. It was a magazine assignment that became a 20-year investigation, and it just ate up his life. And when you read the book, you just feel it.
Oh, you
I
did.
listened to the audiobook, and it was like, oh my God, this poor guy is just going
Yeah.
through. Good point. Read a book. Hold on. Marcel, good point. Read a book. There you go. She's like holding that book up. So the project stalled his
Chaos.
career and cost him years of work, money, and stability. He almost quit so many times, this whole story. Like at
I
some point, he
know.
just couldn't take it anymore. Bugliosi was beating him down.
Yep.
The case became an obsession, creating stress, doubt, and emotional strain. They like made up all kinds of stories about him, about his relationships, and they accused him of all kinds of stuff that was not true. So his investigation of left him buried in documents, interviews, and dead ends. Even
Yes.
after finishing the book, O'Neill was left with more questions than closure.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's enough to definitely say there's a compelling story here.
Oh,
That there was more than just a family, a bunch of hippies that got together and,
mhm.
going, against the establishment and let's just start killing people.
I think
No,
it's
there was
less about the
something more.
family and more about all of the other players aside from the family, because they could have
Yeah.
chosen anyone for this, to
Mhm.
figure this out and see what they were going to do. But I just, it breaks my heart that Tom O'Neill, it took so many years out of his life, 20 plus years of his life. And these guys, Jolly West and Roger Smith especially, they beat him down so much. But yet I was so proud of him, because every time he's like, no, I did all this work already. I have to keep going. So yeah.
Yeah, so dump it all into AI. I wonder what it thinks. Yep. We can do all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's a great book. What I first suggest is that you thank you so much, everybody, for being here tonight. Yeah, it's all sad, really. Very, very sad.
It is.
These people's lives, were ended. The poor LaBiancas, they were just
Yeah.
in their home. They were just in their home, and something just horrible happens, and it's just
Well, and Sharon Tate, I mean, that's somebody that I actually pray for her soul often, because it always bothered me, like even from back in the late 70s when I found out about this whole story. I felt horrible for what they did to her. Like this.
I can't even fathom
No.
what they did to this woman. I just can't even fathom. So let's talk about Polanski for a minute, because Polanski's an interesting character, right? So let's before and after Rosemary's Baby, you know, how successful was he before? How much bigger did he become after 1968? So before Rosemary's Baby, he was up and comer, you know, but he didn't have like huge acclaim. So he did do some movies. So Knife in the Water, Repulsion, respected and critically admired, but still more art house than mainstream Hollywood. And then Rosemary's Baby and you saw what he did. I have a whole new respect for Mia Farrow after reading everything she went through to make this movie. Because, I mean, definitely it was her role. He wanted Sharon in it, but I think everybody else was like, it really needs to be Mia. I think it might have been the producer that had something to do with that.
With what?
With the fact that it was Mia and not Sharon. Because Polanski wanted Sharon.
Yeah, Sharon had a very teeny, like she was in it briefly, like very, very briefly in that movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The last that scene, that was all that she was in. Yeah. It was so horrible, and the pregnant lady murdered as well. It's just all of it is just. Thank you so much, Ruthie, and we're just so glad you guys are here. Thank you for being here. Please press that like, share, subscribe, comment if you like what you've seen. I think tonight we're probably going to close the show with Rosemary's Baby as an encore, since so many new people joined a little bit later. Always young ladies. Yeah, they're easy. You know, at the time it was easy pickings. So Rosemary's Baby was his first American film and a major breakthrough.
Yes,
it turned him into a respected auteur. Into an international famous filmmaker. He directed Chinatown, that's huge. Tess, The Pianist. But because, and we'll talk about this, the next slide, which is his legal troubles after Sharon's death. So after Sharon's 1969 murder, Polanski's career continued, but his later legal troubles would overshadow it. So in 1977, he was arrested in LA after a case involving a 13-year-old Samantha Gailey. He accepted a plea deal. So, I mean, basically he has stayed out of the United States this whole time after spending 42 days in custody for psychiatric evaluation in Chino. I don't know where that is. He feared the judge might reject his deal. Polanski fled the United States before his final sentencing. He made more films, but after this particular thing with the law, he just he had to stay out of it, right? He didn't do much after that.
No.
So,
and honestly, I honestly think that the guy should be in prison.
Oh yeah, I mean it's interesting. You can just flee, and he's lived his life, and so many others did not. Get my soul back and put it in my body. I think this is Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. It's so nice to see you, Kevin. Your soul is in your body, honey.
Yes, the soul has not left your body, my friend. So the question is, and the reason I bring up Polanski, and I think that is the last of the slides. The reason I bring up Polanski is because the story, I mean, you can't deny that the story is so similar. The Sharon Tate story to Rosemary's Baby. I mean, is it, and I'll go ahead and put it out there. Did he sell their souls for his success? That's what the husband did in Rosemary's Baby. He sold his wife and his soul. The baby's basically his son, his kid, not his wife, but because he seemed to think that he was going to get her back until she figured it all out. But it's like, what? why, Polanski was fine. Oh, and poor. I think her last movie. She made a movie after that, but I think it was like between Rosemary's Baby. She was making a movie while he was making Rosemary's Baby. Sharon Tate was making a movie on her own while he was doing Rosemary's Baby. Right?
She had just finished a movie. Yeah, I don't know the name of that movie, but I will.
Wasn't that 12 plus 1? 13, yes. Which freaked me out because there was like 13 songs in the soundtrack of Rosemary's Baby. I know that sounds, a little crazy, but it's like, I'm sorry, these things are connected. There's patterns. Yeah. There are patterns.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Let's see. What did we have left? Oh, I want to play something. Hold on. Let me see. Video file. See if I have it.
Intergalactic Angler. Thank you for saying that.
Talk to chat.
It's so true. You cannot sell your soul because it doesn't belong to you to begin with. It belongs to God, the Most High. So, Kevin, don't worry about your soul, sweetheart.
Poor Kevin, you're going to be okay, baby. Oh, hold on.
Real concern.
Hold on.
That planted.
I don't know. Oh, there we go. Hold on. No, that's not the one. I was trying to find, there was one that I really wanted to show that was from church committee. That was church, but that wasn't the one that I was looking for. So I don't know if I have it, but oops, let me see. I'm not sure that I have it. So any other thoughts that you have on all this? Ooh, do you want to watch that last the one theory that we found? Okay, so we're gonna take it. This is Mind Fork and Cosmos Carousel. So we're gonna go all the way, and we're gonna show you a theory that we found. I had not really heard of the Moon Children, but let's go ahead and show this, shall we? Because I think this is fascinating.
Absolutely.
This was something we found on TikTok yesterday. So let's see.
I uncovered a conspiracy that I don't think I should know, to be honest.
Chris, can you turn it up a bit?
But I know it now, and I'm going to share it.
And
hopefully I'll be okay.
Does that sound better?
So, has anyone ever seen the movie Rosemary's Baby? I haven't. I had never heard of it. Well, I had heard of it. I hadn't seen it, but I recently looked up the synopsis of it because somebody online was comparing Rosemary to Princess Diana. And I was like, what? Like, what does that even mean? So I looked it up. The whole movie is about basically this woman and her husband who move into a new neighborhood, and these neighbors and people around her become obsessed with her baby, and they start gaslighting her, and they want to take her baby. And at the end of the movie, you find out that this has all been like a devilish occult creation of a moon child. What a moon child is like a Nephilim, but opposite. It's like half child, half demon, half Satan, half spirit, whatever it is. The whole movie is about creating a moon child. Her husband sells this child, sells basically the soul of the child or whatever for fame and success in his career, which is an actor. Well, this whole movie is real, and it's based on multiple women. And Aleister Crowley is like one of the lead Satanists of all time. Basically, they look up to him, they read his books. He wrote a story about moon children. And Jack Parsons is his mentor, who went on to try to create a moon child with Marjorie, I'll put the last name in. But basically, they said it was a success without any more information. We don't know if there was a child born. They said there wasn't. They said she aborted it, but why would you go through all that to abort the child? Well, Rosemary in the movie, they end up taking her baby. And you know what this is just like? This is like Sharon Tate and Charles Manson and the whole situation with all the Satanists and everything. And her husband is connected within it. And if you look up if this man had more success after she was killed at 8.5 months pregnant, I bet that baby came right out of her. I bet they cut it out. He had a lot of success. And you know what the only movie he was successful on before her death was? Rosemary's Baby.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I got to turn everything back down. Okay. Oh, hold on. Iron Maiden made a song, Moonchild. I'm going to have to look that one up.
Me too.
tell me what you think, Safi, because that one seems. I mean, I played it, and it's like one of the most far-fetched ones I've seen so far. But there's something about Polanski. There's something about Polanski. I'm sorry. I'm just convinced there's something about Polanski.
I don't think there's anything crazy about what that girl said at all. I totally agree with her, because the Moonchild thing is an actual thing. It is very satanic. And Roman Polanski, so let's just recap this, because I said it at the beginning. Sharon Tate's husband before the murders was in London, England, doing a movie. He was supposed to be home because Sharon Tate was ready to give birth to their child within the next 2 weeks. It could happen anytime at this point. She's begging him. She was so in love with her husband, Roman Polanski, so in love. All of her families talked about that. There have been clips out there of Sharon Tate talking about how in love of that she was with her husband. And yet, knowing she was ready to give birth at any time, he wouldn't come home. He would not. He kept deferring his trip back to the United States. So my question way back in the 70s was, why? Why did you do that? Then when I found out about the 13-year-old and he had to leave the United States, or he would spend a long time in prison in this country when he assaulted that 13-year-old girl. And then I keep going back to this phrase, live freaky, die freaky. I don't think Sharon Tate was the one living freaky, because she kept asking him to remove the people from the house. She's like, we're having a baby. Why do you keep making all these people be here all night with her there? He actually also, and this is documented in Tom O'Neill's research, that he forced Sharon Tate to have sex with other men so he could videotape it. He was very abusive with her. So there are police reports out there of Roman Polanski beating her before she was pregnant, and then him not coming home. And then the whole Rosemary's Baby thing. It's like, you know me, Chris. I know that there is no such thing as a coincidence. That word is just completely made up. There's no coincidences, and all of it is part of something. And why? Why did Bugliosi allow Roman Polanski to walk through that house a couple days after the murder when they were still investigating? And Roman Polanski said there was so much blood, there was such a massive puddle where Sharon Tate died, that it was sopping wet on the floor because of so much of it. So this man, in my opinion, sacrificed his wife and his baby. And I have felt that for many, many years. And this incredible book just made me feel that even more, that Roman Polanski had a lot to do with Hollywood, had a lot to do with Terry Melcher, had a lot to do with these people that were all partying at his house doing some freaky things. And then look at how his wife died. And how is it he gets to come home right away then? He comes home right away then. It's almost to me like he was waiting until it was done. That is my personal opinion here. I don't think that woman deserved or needed to die. I think that this was a sacrifice, because this goes on, right? This is what goes on. And, you know, I think about Sharon Tate's blood type, and the fact that she had an extremely rare blood type like I do. And so that
Sharon did.
Yes.
Sharon, what was she?
She was
What was her blood type?
She was an AB negative, and that's a null, right? Or that's a negative, an RH negative. And it's interesting to me because a lot of these people in Hollywood, they lost their lives, like the 27 Club. You go into that, take a look at that and see, and put these pictures together. These things are huge, guys. And, you know, I'm so tired of the term conspiracy theory, because that was created when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, because everybody saw that Oswald wasn't the one, and they created that term conspiracy theory. And, I'm tired of it because all of these so-called theories, when you put all the puzzle pieces together, they're not really theories, are they? You find out that something very deeply seated started the whole thing. And I think Roman Polanski was in on it. And I think that's why so much of Hollywood refused to talk about it. To this day, Candice Bergen will not discuss this with anyone. Why? Why? She didn't live in the house anymore. They moved out in the middle of the night, remember? Because the maid was so scary. So I find it interesting.
Yeah, I know. And I feel some vindication since the UFO files. And we're going to start to see, I mean, we've seen that things have come out that allude to the same type of behavior in under, we call the e-files or whatever you want to call them. It's like, and we're seeing similar type of behavior, similar, abuses of young children, the word demons and angels being used in government. And I'm not saying that, okay, there are some things that might not be true. Not every, what we call conspiracy theory, which we should come up with a different term, is true, but a lot of them are. Yes. And a lot of the stuff is like they're presenting things to us because they can't do it without presenting it to us. Yeah. There's something to be said. There's some mind games being played.
Oh, absolutely. So, and I would just like to comment on, where is it about intergalactic angler. I feel some vindication since the UFO files release. Ooh, my concern is this. What I would like to say is just be cautious because we also have Project Bluebeam that is kicking off. And so just be very, very, pay attention. Just pay attention and don't believe everything that's going to come out in mainstream media, because usually mainstream media, I mean, come on, they're not really telling us the truth. But I've been waiting for Project Bluebeam to kick off so that we can actually have official first contact. And that is the part that I want, because I'm upset that everybody's been lied to for so many years. And when you are somebody that's had multiple experiences all your life for 59 plus years, and the stuff that they put out there and the way that they made everybody, so you're crazy, people were put in hospital, don't talk to this person, they're a nut job, But the problem is there are so many other countries, like in Canada, we have landing pads. We've got landing pads for UFOs in Canada. So that's something that they spoke very freely of when I grew up in Canada. And so
what do you mean landing pads? Hold on. What you talking about?
Look into it. There's a landing pad in Manitoba, Canada for the UFOs. A landing pad was built.
Okay, wait a minute. Look that up.
Yep.
I had not heard about that one.
Yeah. And very cool. It bothers me because there was a lovely man that worked for the government in Canada, Paul Hellier. And I'm sure some of you people have heard of him. I've had conversations with this man. I have so many emails between him and I before he passed away. And, he tried to get over to the United States here, and he tried to inform people and get the government to be honest. And it just wasn't happening. So I'm glad we're at a stage where truth is finally coming out and the realizations, because people are not under the false illusion anymore. People, the governments lie. Okay. Yeah, they do, because they want to keep us in the matrix, but we got to say no. Thank you, Curious George. Yes. First official UFO.
Wow. Yep. That is so awesome. I'm going to need to get a picture of this because I didn't know that. That is very cool.
Yeah.
And I had two very close encounters. I felt some type of way my whole life. It felt like I was keeping a big secret. That's how they make you feel, right?
Yes. But you don't need to keep the secret, because there are so many of us intergalactic that we've had experiences. We can talk about these things openly, and nobody has a right to shut us down. No one. I'm going to talk about my experiences till the day I leave this realm. I don't care what people think. I'm going to stand in my integrity. I'm going to stand in my truth. And the world needs to know, you know?
Mm-hmm. So with that, with those lovely thoughts, we'll be back here in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be posting a show that we're going to be doing on Project Bluebeam. What is Project Bluebeam? What's happening? You know, are we, you know, is this the last card? We're going to be talking about that. So, thank you so much, Sati. I'm so excited that you like this book. I'm so excited that we got to talk about it because, again, the three things I put together that are really interesting is this book, then Wormwood with the story of Frank Olson, because that deals with LSD experiments and CIA and manipulation in general. And then Octopus Murders, the other one. Octopus Murders is really fascinating. It talks about that octopus that's underneath this whole thing, and everybody in the octopus that's really the movers and shakers of our, you know, of our current environment. We just don't know it.
They're pretty smart. They're alien. Octopus are alien.
Thank you so much for being here, Intergalactic Angler, Curious George, Ruthie, my Ruthie Boricua. Thank you so much. I love all your questions, girl. Love it. Marcel, so good to see you. I'm so glad you were here. Let's smoke some more. I think I'll do that now after this show. Because I'm like, after doing like Rosemary's Baby and all this stuff for like so many days, I need to like cleanse my palate and have a little bit of fun with something here. And then, of course, we had Kevin visit us. Thank you so much, Kevin, for dropping by, my friend.
And Eric and Richard.
And Eric, I know I'm going up Boston B and DJ. I'm going up DJ from Calling All Beings. Everybody go subscribe to Calling All Beings, our friends, the cabbies. And then, of course, Cosmic Carousel and Mindfork. Make sure you subscribe. If you're not subscribed, share, comment, do whatever you need. Lulu Bell was here. I'm just trying to make sure I say hi to everybody. And I think that's it.
If we missed anyone,
thank
you. We'd love you.
If I missed you. Oh, Hectic Stargazer Cindy back from Barcelona. Barcelona. Sorry, I can't stop saying that now. Anyway, let me make sure I don't miss. That is it, my friends. So, how should we? Rosemary's Baby is too long, so I think I'm just going to close this up with our outro, and we'll be posting Rosemary's Baby video on its own. So if you did not get to see the top 10 weirdy facts about Rosemary's Baby, go check it out. It'll be posted on Mindfork. So, Sati, thank you so much, sweetie. Yes, they'll be posting a show for Bluebeam.
Yep, and 2 weeks after that, we've got another show.
Another show's coming up. Just hold on. And we'll be announcing some more stuff. It's going to be really cool. So I love you, friend. Mwah. Love everybody. Love so let's play us. Oops.
And I said, thank you, chat.
Thank you, chatters. Okay, so here we... Is this the one? Sure. Seems like it's this one. Peace. Bye.